What if I told you this movie has a plot twist that will blow your mind and the main character is an autistic accountant who moonlights as a deadly hitman? An action thriller that's part Jason Bourne, part Oh Beautiful Mind, and all intense. This The Accountant. So the story begins with a young boy named Chris. His parents take him to this institute that specializes in kids with autism. They're hoping to get some answers, maybe some help. His mom is stressed. They move around a lot because of his dad's job, and it's taking a toll. The doctor says, look, he could stay here full time. We'd give him structure and the care he needs. But Chris's dad says he's not having it. He doesn't need comfort. He needs to face the world. In the waiting room, little Chris is quietly solving a puzzle, singing a nursery rhyme. When he realizes the last piece is missing, he panics until this little girl finds it and hands it to him. Instant calm. It's such a small moment, but honestly, it hits hard. Flash forward. Now grown-up Chris is an accountant, but not just any accountant. This guy's got serious skills. He's helping a struggling couple save money by finding every loophole in the book. Like, he's that good. The husband's so grateful he literally invites Chris to his property to shoot guns whenever he wants. That night, Chris goes full routine mode. He makes dinner, blasts heavy metal, turns on strobe lights, and rolls a wooden rod over his shins. Yeah, it's brutal. Flashback hits. His mom left the family during Christmas. Super raw moment. He downs his meds and goes to bed, locked in his rhythm like clockwork. Later, he heads to that couple's property for some target practice, and wow, the guy's got aim like a sniper. The husband straight up shook, like, what did I just witness? Then things get real interesting. Chris has a storage unit and inside, a trailer filled with rare collectibles, art, cash in multiple currencies, and enough firepower to wage a small war. He lies down and flashes back to his prison days, where he met this older guy who basically taught him everything. Life skills, finance, survival. That's when the seed for the accountant was planted. Chris gets a call from a British woman who clearly works with him. She's like, hey, maybe stick to normal clients for a bit? You're kinda heating up. He's not thrilled, but agrees. So next, Chris takes a meeting at this prosthetics company. Turns out their accountant found some sketchy stuff. Money's missing, and they need someone to Sherlock it out. Chris agrees and will start tomorrow. Over at the U.S. Treasury Department, Director Ray King calls in analyst Mary Beth Medina. At first, he's all compliments she have done great work, but then boom, he drops the hammer. He knows about her sealed juvenile record. Yup, stuff that should have kept her out of a federal job. She's caught off guard, but plays it cool. Still, King gives her an ultimatum. Find out who this mysterious guy called the accountant is. The one laundering money for dangerous people and leaving a trail of bodies. Or she's done. Medina is on her grind. She finds a partial image of the accountant's face and sends it in for facial recognition. Girls doing the work. The next day, Medina gets a call during a press conference, and it's big. Homeland Security just recovered audio from one of the accountant's more violent encounters. She listens in. It's straight up terrifying. A man begging for his life, and then silence. And she knows this guy's the real deal. Back at the company, Chris finds Dana asleep in a conference room. She wakes up and introduces herself and says she's the one who found the missing money. She assumes they're gonna be a team, but Chris says he work alone.
Yeah, okay.
Back in the conference room, Chris is in full genius mode. He fills up a whiteboard with complex calculations, then moves to the windows when he runs out of space. It's chaos to anyone else, but clarity to him. Then, after hours, boom, he gets a breakthrough. Chris runs to share the news with Dana. Someone's been funneling money into a fake business. Like, this is serious embezzlement. But before he can drop names, a shareholder storms in, demanding answers. Chris? He's chill as ever. It's too early. I'm not done yet. Meanwhile, Medina's listening to the audio again. This time, she isolates something strange. This guy is chanting a nursery rhyme during the attack, the same one he used as a kid to calm himself, and that's when it clicks. This isn't just some cold-blooded killer. There's something deeper going on here. Total game changer. We meet Brax, someone with dirty work. He corners a guy in Switzerland and basically threatens to beat him into the next dimension if he doesn't stop shorting businesses. When words don't work, fists do. It's brutal and efficient. That night, Brax, yeah, the terrifying enforcer from earlier, shows up at a shareholder's house. So it's him, not named Krish. And this scene, man, it's straight up chilling. He gives the guy two choices. Option 1, inject yourself with insulin, make it look like suicide, and your wife gets the insurance payout. Option 2, resist, and both you and your wife are toast. Wow, what is going on here? Next morning, Chris rolls into the office, ready to keep cracking the case, but all his work is being scrubbed clean, literally. Custodians are erasing the whiteboards, wiping the windows, everything. The company owner shows up and drops the bomb. Yeah, the investigation's done. It was guilt. He killed himself. Let's move on. Chris is stunned. You can see it eats at him. Back home, Chris goes through one of his intense rituals again. Metal music blasting, strobe lights flashing, and that wooden rod on his shins. Flashbacks hit hard. His mom walking out. He breaks the rod, chucks his meds across the room, but somehow pulls himself together and takes the pills anyway. The next morning, something's off. Chris notices a car following him. He heads to the couple's property again. More target practice, but now he's clearly watching his back. He flashbacks to his childhood. We see little Chris and his brother training under this brutal instructor their dad brought in. The boys are bruised, and their dad just tells them to keep going. Like, this wasn't tough love. It was borderline torture. No wonder these two grew up with serious emotional scars. And right when you think things can't get any crazier, Chris walks into a setup. The couple's being held hostage by two thugs, and the wife's being forced to lure Chris inside. He's already clocked what's going on. From outside, he snipes one of the attackers. The other thug grabs the couple and makes a run for it. Chris disables the getaway car with surgical precision, takes out the attacker, and interrogates him on the spot. The guy doesn't know who sent him. He was just told to kill you and the girl, then he's off to find Dana. Chris gets to Dana's apartment just in time. She's being followed. While she's heading up to her place, two fake delivery guys force their way in. They try to grab her, but Dana's not going down easy. She scrambles into the bathroom. Chris bursts through the door like an absolute savage. Total badass moment. He turns to Dana and says, "You're coming with me?" No hesitation. So Brax gets the news that his hit squad just got wrecked by the accountant. He's pissed. Chris takes Dana to his secret hideout. Yeah, that trailer from earlier filled with insane stuff. She's looking around like, what even is your life? Weapons, stacks of cash, priceless art. The whole setup is next level. He wants to open up, but dude's been living in lockdown mode for so long, he just can't. Meanwhile, Medina gets a call from language services about the audio. They're like, yeah, the guy in the recording might be autistic or possibly has a history of trauma. Boom! It all starts lining up. She follows that hunch straight to the IRS, looking for people with shady aliases and absurd incomes. She's connecting dots fast, and those dots are screaming Chris Wolff. Chris and Dana head to a luxury hotel for safety, and now that they're out of danger, at least for the moment, Dana wants answers, and Chris finally starts to open up. He tells her about his father, the brutal training, and what it's like living with autism. Dana listens, then shares her own story about being a high school misfit, just wanting to belong. They bond. She leans in for a kiss, but Chris backs off. Not out of rejection, but because he's just had a mind-blowing realization, and then he lays it all out. The embezzler wasn't stealing to get rich. They were flipping the stolen money and reinvesting it for bigger returns. It was a high-stakes hustle disguised as fraud, genius-level shady. Later, Chris tracks down Brax, and oh boy, things escalate fast. Brax opens fire and shoots him. Chris chases him into a hotel room, only to find yet another dead executive. It's a murder tour at this point. When Chris returns to the hotel, he finds Dana asleep. He has a flashback of his father forcing him and his brother to beat up a group of kids who were bullying him at school.
Different.
Because it is too dangerous to keep Dana involved, Chris decides to pack his things and leave. She calls King with the information. She uncovers the full truth. The accountant is Christian Wolff, not just any genius. He's a trained killer, but here's the kicker. King knew all along. Yup, total game changer. King and Medina lead a team of investigators through Chris's house, and they find that he has a lot of guns and a very high-tech security system. King sends the other investigators away, and he and Medina stay in the house to talk. King asks Medina to open up about her arrest in the past, which she doesn't regret, and she confesses that she once tried to kill a drug dealer who was selling drugs to her sister. King, in turn, he once tried to get Chris, but the guy was always 10 steps ahead of him. At the hotel, Chris was recorded killing someone. King remembers how after the incident, Chris pulled a gun on him and asked if he was a good father. When King answered yes, Chris spared his life. King took this as a sign to step away from his career. King was about to quit when a British woman called. The call brought him back in, and King started using this mysterious woman as an informant. King also talks about interviewing Chris's former cellmate, a federal informant who had been helping criminals launder money while they were in prison together. After his release, the cellmate was persecuted, tortured, and killed by the very people he once worked for. Hearing this news devastated Chris, and he snapped and broke out of prison. Medina looks at King in confusion. Why is he telling me all this? Because when he retires in 7 months, he wants Medina to be the one who picks up the phone when she calls. He's talking about the mysterious British voice on the other end of the line. The one who feeds information, who knows everything. The old landline rings. Medina answers. On the line is the same British woman. She wastes no time. There's a situation at the robotics company. Thought you'd want to know. Wait, is this the same woman calling Krish? And just like that, the handoff is complete. Medina is now part of the game. Meanwhile, over at the company owner's estate, Brax is already on edge. Dude's got full-on spidey senses. Something's coming, and he feels it. Chris? He's already in stealth mode, sliding into the property like an absolute pro. Brax sends his men to take him out, but honestly, that's cute, because Chris, he's on another level. One by one, he drops them. Precise, cold, totally badass. Watching the mayhem unfold on the security cams, he shocks. The guy he's been trying to kill. It's not just some ghost from the underworld. It's his brother. Chris starts humming an old nursery rhyme, a deep cut from their childhood. And just like that, Brax freezes. No way, it's him. He walks toward Chris. No guns, no backup, just raw emotion. He's pissed. Really pissed. Chris vanished for years, missed their mom's funeral, and their dad. Brax blames Chris for his death. Years of pain boil up, and Brax snaps. He swings hard. Chris doesn't even flinch. He takes the punch, lets him have it. It's not about the hit. It's about letting his brother feel again. Then the storm fades. Chris steps forward, gun in hand, but it's not a threat. It's a gesture, a truce. And for the first time in forever, they talk, really talk. But just as the ice starts to melt, boom, the company owner bursts in, big mad. He's screaming at Brax. Why haven't you taken him out? Chris doesn't even blink. Bang. The dude drops. No hesitation. Handled. Silence. Then something rare. Peace. The brothers lock eyes and Chris simply says, "Give me a week. We'll catch up properly." And just like that, they part ways. Meanwhile, across town, a couple walks into Harbor Neuroscience Center searching for help for their young autistic son. The kid wanders off right into a room where a familiar face waits. It's Justine. Yeah, that Justine. The girl who once helped Chris solve puzzles as a kid. Now she's all grown up, still nonverbal, but definitely not silent. The director explains she uses a high-tech device to communicate. She types a few words and that calm British voice comes through. Yep, she's been the voice behind the scenes this whole time. Mind-blowing, right? Cut to Dana's apartment. She's tidying up when there's a knock at the door, a package. Inside, a painting. At first glance, it looks ordinary. She peels back the surface. Boom! Underneath is a priceless masterpiece. The same one that once hung in Chris's trailer. No words, no fanfare, just a message, loud and clear. Chris hasn't forgotten her. And that's where we wrap things up. And that was The Accountant, a mind-blowing and autistic assassin, and a story that's equal parts badass and bittersweet. Thanks for watching. If this recap just blew your mind, hit that like button, drop a comment, and smash that subscribe. We've got more wild movie recaps coming your way. Catch you in the next one.